Well, I guess my best memories of high school have to do with FFA. We went on to the national convention, went to state convention. Gary Manson was the state treasurer. He was a year ahead of me in school, and I thought that was a big deal. But we learned, I think, being involved in FFA, we had to do some public speaking and stuff, and I think that's helped me all through life for that, because I would have been scared to death to get up in front of a bunch of people if it hadn't been for what training I had in FFA.
I have a lot of fond memories from being advisor here, and we accomplished a lot. It was during that time we started judging day, and I find it enjoyable when you can go any place in the state and talk to somebody and tell them you're from Brunswick, and chances are somebody's going to say, well, I was at your judging day back in such and such a year, and that makes you feel good. We started that here, and it started out with just 6 contests. It's really grown since then. Everybody's taken off with it. I really enjoy the fact that a lot of the students that I had have accomplished a lot of good things. They've got, there's teachers, farmers, professionals, welders. It's just gratifying to know that you had a part in getting somebody started in their livelihood. The chapter, we strive to serve the community and not necessarily, ask the community to support us. We tried to help the community and do what we could. The chapter, if something needed to be done downtown or at school, they came to the ag kids and we took care of it. And by doing that, we had a lot of community support. There were people that loaned us livestock and machinery and their time and their expertise that didn't even have kids in school, but did it because of the students' involvement in the community. So it was real gratifying to see the amount of community support we had. During the flood of 1993, we worked in conjunction with a chapter from Greensboro, North Carolina, and they brought 3 trailer truckloads of goods here and several thousands of dollars that the FFA chapter distributed to the people. So, it's just good to, I've served on school board and city council and all that with some of my former students, and it's always good when you see former students take a lead in the community that they're a part of.
I was an officer, and I think it was vice president my senior year. I went with a creed speaking when I was a freshman, and I think I got second in the district on that. And then senior year, I remember we had a farm management team, Lynn Duval and Roman Jenkins and I, and we finished up fairly high in the state, I think in the top 10. And those are the ones that stick out in my mind.
I enjoyed the welding and the construction and learning about that stuff. I mean, class was fine. I loved class. We learned a lot there on the animals and things like that.
Well, I think to actually look at FFA in general, the one thing that it does for almost any student is give them opportunities. It doesn't make any difference whether they're, really good speaking or whether they're really good with their hands or, whether they like to do books. I mean, with all the different options you have with shop work and public speaking opportunities and other leadership opportunities, I think that's where you get to meet other people and actually see what agriculture is, not just, not just maybe livestock judging, just cattle or hogs, but you get to see the whole realm of agriculture by being in FFA, and there's always an opportunity for an individual to succeed.
Well, see, my 4 years in FFA, I was on the livestock judging team as a freshman with Doug Grotjan, Tim Manson, and we went to district and I don't remember where we got in district, but anyway, we qualified for state. We went to state, and you know, we learned, you know, how to do reasons and try to understand the different genetics, and especially sheep. I didn't know nothing about a sheep, and anyway, I learned a lot about that, and then we got into welding, and you know, taught you how to weld and build things, and
Happy 90th anniversary, FFA. I believe in the future of farming, with a faith born not of words, but of deeds. It seems like a lifetime ago I was a freshman green hand at BHS in the 1970s, and we were asked to memorize the FFA Creed. And these were the first words of it at that time. And I was the first one to recite that creed in front of my ag instructor at the time, Mr. Schaefer, as a green hand. And then he asked me if I would like to be a creed speaker in competition. I said, sure. He then took me over to the English teacher to have him give me some pointers on body language and how to pronounce words and how to present myself a little bit better. Then he enrolled me in the district creed speaking competition. That began my journey in public speaking. I later became sentinel for our chapter, where I became very familiar with parliamentary procedure and being around groups of people using it. And this would serve me the rest of my life, as I later became involved in boards on dealing with businesses and later with church boards and such. My senior year in high school, I was the Brunswick FFA chapter president, and as well, I was the president of the District 3 FFA. And during this time, I had to do a lot of public speaking, especially impromptu speaking in front of large crowds on the district level. It was these roots in public speaking that benefited me the most later in my life. And after all, you never really know where these skills that you learned in FFA might serve you in some future occupation you happen to be doing in the future. For example, being a preacher. Happy anniversary, FFA.
Did build quite a few projects in ag construction class. I made a wood stove that I still use today in my shop, even as a sophomore in ag class. I do think that FFA helped me to communicate and work with other people. I think it's a good organization that does help teach people teamwork and being able to get along with one another. It did spark an interest for me in welding. After I graduated from high school in 1982, I did attend Grand River Technical School at Chillicothe for a year in welding. While I've never actually made welding my full-time profession, it has allowed me to repair quite a bit of equipment and build quite a few things, and I've even repaired some stuff for other people. A few years back, I was honored with receiving an honorary degree from the chapter. That was something that was a very good honor for me, and I thank you much for it.
Some of the skills that I learned was parliamentary procedure that helped me through 6 years on the school board and 5 years on the city of Brunswick. It kind of sticks with you. Like I said, I was president, Bob Knight was the advisor, and without him, I probably wouldn't be where I am today.
Probably the things I gained most out of my time being in FFA was probably the ability to work with other people. I know most people that know me probably don't believe there was a time that when I was shy, but trust me, I was. And I was never very good at speaking around groups of people, but I do remember my FFA advisor one time insisted that I compete at a area speaking contest, and I do attribute my ability to talk somewhat freely around people today from that experience in FFA.
Just how long ago was 1931? Well, this, as a point of reference, is a picture of my dad getting ready to go to the field in the 1930s. Happy birthday, Brunswick FFA. Birthdays and anniversaries are a good time to celebrate just how far you've come. I was a member in the late 1980s, and we had the privilege to celebrate a couple of chapter milestones. First, we built the first FFA greenhouse in Brunswick. We also hosted the first Brunswick FFA Judging Day. We had no idea that would grow to double the size of our town for at least one day every year. My biggest personal FFA challenge was my SAE. I handpicked about 10,000 ears of Indian corn with absolutely no market. Fortunately, Michael's Arts and Crafts was looking for a supplier, and my SAE not only helped pay for college, but it became my career for the next 30 years. I was also privileged to serve as a state FFA officer from 1987 to 88. When I went to Mizzou in the College of Agriculture, I already saw a lot of friendly, familiar faces from around Missouri, and I felt right at home. All of these great memories that I have of FFA make me really excited to see what you guys are doing today. So keep growing, and happy 90th birthday, Brunswick FFA.
Member of FFA all 4 years. Went from being a local officer all the way up to an area officer. I was on livestock judging, parliamentary procedure, soils, creed speaking, knowledge, extemporaneous speaking. FFA has basically been the foundation of about everything I've done through my career, school, even now getting back to the farm. So it was a huge part of my life. The contests, teams were a lot of fun. Basically, I think the most I got out of everything was the extemporaneous speaking, just because I use that a lot doing presentations and meetings and whatnot. So even went to state FFA choir, which makes me laugh now, but just met a lot of people, have a lot of contacts, have a lot of friends from FFA. So great organization.
It's crazy to think that over 22, 23 years ago, I was sitting in that blue jacket at a local chapter banquet. I've been an ag teacher the past 18 years. Really have to say that Brunswick FFA jacket really fueled my passion for my future career. Provided me with lots of opportunities, gave me an excitement to continue to mentor and to continue to help grow young agriculturalists. When I was in the Brunswick FFA, was on a few contest teams, never had a ton of success, but livestock, meats, did a little bit of public speaking. Kind of funny, had a lot of success as advisor in ag issues and poultry, never did either one of those at high school. So my encouragement for you Brunswick FFA members is follow your passion, get involved, be active, and always remember those lessons you learned in the blue jacket. Thanks for including me.
A couple of things that kind of stick out in my mind during my tenure at Brunswick. One was the greenhouse that we constructed and built that the kids still use today. Very proud of the kids that helped construct the greenhouse, and it's been a very worthwhile educational structure that the kids have utilized and used. The next thing that I kind of look back on while I was at Brunswick was the different contest teams that the kids participated in. I pushed the kids really hard in those contests that they participated in, and a couple of them that stick out in my mind is the National Land Judging Contest down in Oklahoma City that we participated in, and then of course the agronomy teams that participated and won at the national level. Those kids worked really hard on those, and that's something that they can look back at and be very proud of. But probably the main thing that I look back at teaching ag at Brunswick is seeing those kids once they've gone through the program and once they've graduated high school and they get out into the ag industry, whether it's farming at home on the family farm or being out in the ag industry, and seeing those kids use what they've learned in the classroom and help them be successful in their careers. So that looking back is probably the most important thing that I feel I contributed to the Brunswick Ag Department while I was there. So thank you very much. Good night.
I was an FFA all 4 years of my high school career. The highest office that I held in FFA was the treasurer. I was terrified to have to get up and speak and give the opening ceremonies at the FFA banquet. So I probably never would have applied for an office, but my advisor handed me the application and said, fill this out. And so I did. And so I ended up to be the treasurer.
The team I remember most that I was on in high school was the entomology team. And that was probably one of my favorite memories because we were able to go to state in that contest and had a great time there.
A couple of the most important things that I probably got away from FFA was that hard work does pay off. And I certainly learned more creative ways to study and learn. When I was in FFA, I was involved in the soils team, livestock teams, agronomy team, and farm management team. Placed, I believe, 4th at state with our soils team, and went to national contest with our agronomy team, where we placed 2nd. I also placed at state with my SAE project in outdoor recreation at the time. So yeah, the FFA was a big part of even where I've ended up here today.
It's funny looking back now how much FFA has truly impacted my life, and that started, obviously back in high school. So, it led me to major in ag business, which has then brought me to my career as a grain merchandiser for ADM. Really looking back, FFA helped me just start that foundation that I needed to start my future. And so it's very rewarding, and you wouldn't think of it at that point. In high school, you're not really thinking too much about the future 15 years down the road, but it certainly did help me, and looking back now, I don't regret anything.
Here by the Owl. My name is Peyton Lewis. I am an alumni from Brunswick High School. I graduated 4 years ago. FFA to me in high school was taking part in CDE events. I was part of the agronomy and dairy foods team. We participated in the state event. It was a great time. I learned a lot. I got really close to my teammates. During that time, I really learned how important having a passionate ag advisor is, how important it is to student success. I will be starting my teaching career at Macon High School in Macon, Missouri. I'm finishing up my student teaching in Mound City. Actually, today is my last day. Before I leave, I can't leave without saying thank you to Mrs. Krapfi for being that influential ag advisor that she is. You can really tell when someone cares just by how their students talk about them. I also want to thank my cooperating teacher at Mound City, Mr. Dignan, for helping me along the way this spring and really showing me between right and wrong in the classroom. And I just want to give a special thank you to all ag advisors. I've learned a lot about being an advisor, being a teacher this semester, and how much work it can really be, and how important having a passionate advisor is.
I have been the FFA advisor here since 2015, and this year marks the end of my 6th year here. I would say the best part about being the FFA advisor here at Brunswick is getting to watch students grow over the course of 4 years. You see them come in as young, timid freshmen, and by the time they're seniors, you've seen them grown into people who are passionate about what they're getting ready to pursue in their life. Regardless whether that's an agricultural major or not, At the end of those 4 years, they've become educated consumers. And my hope is that they can advocate and continue advocating for the agricultural community. The best part about the FFA program is all of the endless opportunities that students have. Students can pursue contests, they can pursue their supervised agriculture experience programs, or they can excel in the classroom. There's so many ways that students can have success in the FFA and develop those leadership qualities and hands-on skills that are going to make them successful employees in the near future. And that's why I love being a part of the Brunswick FFA.